Hi, welcome to HeKate's Crossing. Don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Okay, I'm loving these VRs. There's some great discussions going on, some sharing of decks. Get out there, have a look at some of the hashtags that are going on and get involved with some of these discussions. I love hearing other people's thoughts and opinions with some of this stuff. So let's have a look. I've been listening to Anna, of course, from just had to adjust my seat, from Astral Lady Tarot. Okay, she's been doing a little bit of a discussion about different topics and things like that. And this one here is the perfect tarot deck, not my tarot aesthetic. And it really made me think about my deck that I call my soul deck. What are my thoughts? What are my opinions? I've done this before, I've talked about this before, and decks that I've maybe not been really attracted to, maybe haven't really liked the art but read really well with it. Maybe there are decks that I absolutely adore the art but don't really read that often with it. It's really hard. I actually have a reasonable collection of decks, as you will have seen, and you may have seen that some of the decks are completely different in their artwork. Okay, so what I'm going to do is my first tarot deck. Okay, my very first tarot deck, which I absolutely adore. Now, not really because of the artwork or anything like that, even though it is really easy to read and stuff like that. Now, this is the Native American Tarot. Okay, this was my first tarot deck. Now, I read with it so easily, and I think a lot of it may have been to do with the keywords that are underneath. Things like the Four of Blades. Okay, the suits were slightly different. There were name changes, etc. But this was the first deck that really spoke volumes to me. I'd looked at a few different decks, and this was the deck that really spoke to me. And I used it constantly for myself and then for my clients in a variety of environments for reading tarot. And did lots of different spreads and lots of different layouts and lots of questions, and it was amazing. It was just such a great deck, and I used this tarot deck constantly. I'm talking all day at a psychic fair or expo. I would use it for 7 or 8 hours in a day. That was all I used for readings. So I love this deck. It really speaks really well. Easy to use. I have replaced the cardstock, of course, with the US Games, the new cardstock, which I did prefer the original, but that's okay. So maybe I'm not using it as much now as I used to, but it is a deck that just I feel I could never let go of. I always need to have a copy in my collection. The stories and the teachings are amazing. Yes, they're mixed tribes, mixed Native American. It's not just one tribe, it is a many tribes. It has got a lot in it. She does connect to the traditional Rider-Waite Smith and Marseille, and she just does give a lot of information in the book. There's a lot of correspondences with crystals and gods and deities and animals and so much, and other divination tools and how they connect, and it's just an amazing deck. And when you can get the companion book, which I should have grabbed while I'm right here, which I should grab, just to show you. So as you can see by the cards, absolutely incredible. So this is the companion book. If you can get the companion book, I totally recommend it. Has got, like I said, a lot of information per card. Okay, so not only that, it also, once you've gone through all the cards, it does give you some spreads to work with. Okay, like the Kachina knife. This is one of my favorite ones. This is a spread that I use constantly. The medicine wheel one. Now it actually uses 23 cards, but I did them really quick. They're really good, even with quick readings. I didn't have to go into a huge amount of detail if I didn't feel I needed to. They were good for half-hour, 1-hour readings, depending on the client and what they needed to know. But I found them to be quite reasonably quick when I, a 20-minute reading for a client. I couldn't do much less than 20 minutes, but they were really good for 20 minutes, half an hour readings. Definitely. There's the Native Cross. So definitely got some decent spreads in there. The Aztec Pyramid. The Shining Star. The Horns card, sorry, the Horns spread, 6-card spread. So, and then it goes into meditation, which is really cool. So you're meditating on the cards. Then you have visualization. So if you want to visualize something, for example, visualization for love. So you would lay out the cards in this particular order. And when you did that, you were able to sort of visualize these particular cards to help you guide where you need to be. So they'd be in the directions plus the Earth Mother and Father Sky cards. So really cool. So you've got visualization for your health. So say you're unwell, you'd lay out the cards in that layout with these certain cards here. So you just go through and you just do that. So that's your visualizations. There's a little bit of appendix, A and B, but also got like I said, it's got the correspondence with the Native American Tarot and other aspects as well. So it really gets into a lot of the bibliography at the back. So there is a lot of information in this book. So yeah, so definitely Native American Tarot being, to me, that's my soul deck. It's my deck that I just wouldn't let go. It was my very first deck. It was my connection that, for me personally, it may be completely different for someone else. The reason why their deck seems to speak to them, or it's a deck that just will never leave their path. Okay, so that's one aspect as well. Now, I do want to talk about Rider-Waite-Smith. Now, Rider-Waite-Smith type decks have been a real struggle for me, but I actually got some Rider-Waite-Smith decks that I absolutely love. Now I do have the Centennial, which I'm not bringing out at the moment, because what really got me was the Waterfall Tarot. This here, hand painted by Tarot Oracle. You can find his channel on YouTube. Now this to me really got me into the Rider-Waite-Smith fully. I mean, I'd had other Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but I hadn't really used it as much. This here spoke volumes. Really helped to get me into it. Now, I think a lot of it might have been to do with the colour of Rider-Waite-Smith. So I did end up getting the Centennial, which I should have grabbed, which is down the bottom here. So let me just grab the Centennial. I did like that sort of colourway, not too bright, sort of a bit, did it give a bit of a Victorian sort of sepia toned, a bit more muted? Definitely felt that this deck was my, Rider-Waite-Smith type deck that I would use for clients. And then of course with the this one here with the Waterfall Tarot, definitely. Okay, now a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, or a Rider-Waite-Smith type imagery called Rider Tarot deck, I absolutely love. Now the reason why I love this, again, it has that antique-y look to it. Okay, absolutely love the antique look. to me, I can use this more with the kipper or the Alexander Musruk's decks, particularly with those sepia tones with the Leninmand or the kipper. I think they look amazing. And even the Sibylla cards I think will look really cool with this deck because of that antique-y muted colorway. So, you know, to me this speaks as a Rider-Waite-Smith because of the hand painted. It doesn't feel so bright and retro. It's tarot and it's Rider-Waite-Smith with a twist. The Centennial because of those muted tones, and then the Rider. Absolutely amazing deck. Now the last one on my list here in this Rider-Waite-Smith type imagery is Moon Babies. Absolutely love this. Now the reason why I love Brandt's deck is because it is well done. It is very retro. It does, and it really goes with that theme of the deck. It suits it. It hasn't got the bright yellow, which I'm really pleased about, of course. And I just love the way it's done. It's really kept with the traditional hui polloi, but he's done his twist with the colours. Colours are gorgeous. Really goes really well. It just suits it has got a muted tone to it, so it's not too bright, but yet there's a retroness about it. It's not gaudy, it's not garish or anything like that. It's just beautifully done. The cardstock's gorgeous. I just think it's just a gorgeous Rider-Waite-Smith type imagery, hoi polloi. So again, it follows that theme, but yet it's got its uniqueness about it. And that's what I love. So these are my 4 basic Rider-Waite-Smith decks that I think you think of when you're thinking of sort of traditional tarot, right? But trying to get something that's not too, to me, I don't know, it just seemed to be, and it's not too garish, not too gaudy, not too jarring, I think is the thing. Colour jarring for me. And I think I love that sort of aspect. Oops. So I love it. So these what I would call my Rider-Waite-Smith type decks that I will use. Definitely use at different times. So let me put these ones away. Okay. So even though these are not my perfect aesthetic, but they do speak volumes. They do really good readings. They are to the point. There's no mucking around with the messages. It is just, I love them. Love them. I love Rider-Waite-Smith for that reason, and they're great for teaching, great for teaching others to read tarot, just to explain sort of the basics to get them to expand their own knowledge. So definitely a deck that I love. Okay, next thing is a traditional Tarot de Marseille. Okay, I love like the Spanish tarot, love the ancient Italian, love the Visconti Sforza. I love that sort of, to me, the traditional tarot is perfect. Okay, now I'm not necessarily saying that's my, like, I love the artwork or anything like that. I just feel they have something that just is. Let me just grab the, you know, I like Tarot de Marseille style decks. I love that sort of tradition. This to me is traditional, more so than Rider-Waite-Smith. But it's not always a deck that everyone knows, of course, unless you're a tarot addict, like most of us here. But definitely, I mean, this is a deck that I maybe not use a lot for readings or things like that, but they do great readings, even though I may not use them a lot. I do like using these decks, but I do find them hard to read. I mean, not hard to read, but hard to use for clients as such, because maybe they don't appeal to everybody as well. So that's, you know, none of these are absolutely 100% perfect, but they are great decks. So like I said, I've got my Rider-Waite-Smith type decks. I've got my first deck that I showed you. Then you've got these Tarot de Marseille styled decks, of course. Okay. Now, where do we go from here? So many different amazing decks. And you can see, you know, what is my aesthetic? Now, it's hard to choose because you look how different. We have the Muriel. I love this artwork. This artwork I love. It is so unique, has so much in it. It speaks a lot when you just give it the time to work through it. Muriel to me is perfect aesthetic. I love the artwork in that. Now, one other deck I really love is the Coffee Tarot. And the reason why I think I love this deck so much is it's just an everyday type of artwork. It's not necessarily my aesthetic again. It may not be my actual artwork. Like I do love the Muriel is more my art style. But to me, this is a great everyday styled deck. You know, how do you get the perfect aesthetic? I think this changes with your mood. To me, this is about not necessarily the artwork and stuff like that, even though I do love the artwork. It's the messages behind the cards or the way the art's drawn. I don't know, it's very hard to say what is my tarot aesthetic. What is and what is not. Like, Muriel to me is art. I don't know, it's not artwork. I don't know what it is. Well, they're all art in its own way. Now, you can see how different the Starman Tarot is. Now this, to me, is real retro 80s, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, that real, I don't know, that real 80s sort of look. And it just is so unique and full of life and full of energy. And this I absolutely love. See, is this my tarot aesthetic? It's so hard to tell. There's so many amazing decks. How do we decide on what is the perfect tarot deck? I think our moods change, our seasons change. Like, I love the tarot decorative when I'm looking at Ciro Marchetti's work. And I love this because it has a Tarot de Marseille Rider-Waite-Smith combination. Do I like that combination? Is that why I like Muriel? Because it has a bit of Thoth as well as Rider-Waite-Smith. It combines tarot systems in a way, of tarot lineage. So is that why I like it? Is that why it speaks to me? Is that why I can read with them? Because I find I can use them in many different ways. There's no, it just does seem to be this combination with it. So I love tarot decorative. I love Ciro's artwork. I certainly wouldn't read with all of them. It's just so interesting. And it's like I got the Cleopatra tarot. I looked at Egyptian tarot decks. And I looked at the other ones that are available. And I settled on Cleopatra. And I think I did that because of the fact of it being that Egyptian-y look, that sepia-toned papyrus. And it has the different figures on it, of course, which I need to do more study on. But I can pick it up and read. Read the tarot with Tarot de Marseille, Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth. It sort of has all of those aspects. I think just the fact of the way it's designed. I don't know, maybe not Thoth, but definitely Tahoe de Marseille and Rider-Waite-Smith. Definitely feels like it has that sort of, I don't know, mixed energy in a way, but yet comes together as one. So you can see by the variety of decks I have, what is my perfect tarot deck? It changes in the mood. Here we have the Tarot Divine, which I'm using at the moment for the Instagram challenge. So I can't say what deck is my absolutely perfect deck I use all the time, because each month my moods change, or each week, each day, my moods change. And yes, I will use a deck continually. It's my way of sort of getting to know that deck, to honor that deck, to really get to involved with the stories, the teachings that the authors created. It allows me to dive deep into the tarot books. I think tarot guidebooks are so important to allow us to sort of learn and study and get to know a deck in a deeper way. So you can see by the different decks I'm sharing here, and I'm only sharing a few, how different they are. You cannot say that one deck is better than another, or you know. And here you've got the supernatural. Now I absolutely adore this, and not because of the artwork, not necessarily because of the artwork, but because I watched the supernatural series. I watched all 15 seasons, and it allowed me to sort of really dive deep into each of the characters. Cardstock is quite thick. It's a little bit difficult to sometimes, I mean, it shuffles, it feels like it shuffles beautifully, but they do sort of clump up a little bit, and they can be a little bit hard to separate. But so this definitely wouldn't what I would call my perfect tarot deck, but it's the only tarot deck that I actually have two of at this time. So it's a deck that I certainly don't want to get rid of. It's certainly a deck that I like spending time with it. I love reading with it. I love the messages it prevails, it gives me in that moment, whatever that is. It just, I don't know, it's amazing. And you can see that all of these decks are so different. Are all so different. The aesthetic's different. So there is not one particular tarot style that I absolutely love, because they're all so different. They all speak differently. They all share their messages differently, from a different perspective. So I just don't know how one can say what deck, what aesthetic is my perfect tarot deck, because they change. I mean, you look at the Celtic Tarot. I think this is very similar to some of my other decks. I think it definitely have a few, like the Silver Witchcraft, maybe even the sort of Dragon Tarot, the Gilded Tarot, Royale. I mean, I think there are a few decks that have that sort of look, maybe. So maybe this is part of that sort of nature, fairy, myths and legends styled tarot deck. So yeah, I think that's it from me. I mean, I think this is just such a thought-provoking question that Anna sort of laid out, and I've mostly rambled a bunch as I've shown what decks I actually have to sort of try and explain my aesthetic, and they are just all Like I love the my first tarot deck, the Native American tarot. Love some of the Rider-Waite-Smith type decks. Love the TDM's style decks in some way. I love things that are a bit unique, a bit different in some ways as well. So yeah, I don't know, it's just so they're all just so different. So where do we move from here? What's next in my collection? Who knows? Wait and see. You know, what other artworks am I going to really be inspired to connect with or use? So that's it from me. Don't forget, take care and blessed be.